can say whatever they want, but you know what? I got your back too. Okay? I always do.
Listen, there's nobody. I don't give a shit what anybody says. My mission here is to expose the naked shorts. I don't care if
Exactly.
I'm not. I can't walk away because my friends are all invested. I'm not going anywhere, and I have to stay tall. That's the way I am. That's just the way it is.
That's what you gotta do, man. You gotta just shove it off and just keep doing what you're gonna do. But I gotta. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Cam.
I just feel bad that people that don't understand it, get involved. Whether you came from AMC, GameStop, wherever you came from, and you found us. We've been doing this for a long time. We've been standing tall. We reported every day what we see, 100% right on the nose. We don't duck it. Again, but they can't stop. It makes me sick that the SEC allows this to go on, and they catch a guy like Savvy, that naked short seller, who just bought a condo for $10 million in Fishers, Florida. They just caught this guy with a scheme defrauding investors, and no one's looking into that. And on top of it, they did a story on it. If I was a crook, there's no way I would let anybody do a story on where I'm spending my money or how much it is.
All it is just put it in your face. That's all that is. That's all they do, man. I can't stand those people. Well, hang on. Let's get back to it. I mean, we could talk about this for a little bit.
No problem. Go ahead.
Cam, I got a question. What do you think, or what do you hear about these data breaches from TD and Charles Schwab? Do you think that's a ruse, or you think they did that on purpose? What do you think? And it's not, it's just your opinion.
It's unbelievable that companies with billions of dollars have all these problems all the time. Whether their facilities are burning down, there's data breaches. It's just amazing. These are the biggest companies in the world, and all they have is problems. So obviously, I don't believe that it was a mistake. I think it was purposely. I think that it was done on purpose. That's my opinion.
That's my take too. And my other question is, who you hope would win first, MMTLP or Finger or GTI?
MMTLP, since this lockdown, there's no question in my mind. The people at MMTLP are going to get their day. They're going to get their money back. They're going to make money on it. There's going to be lawsuits. But I believe that case, once it's settled, will be sealed like the Credit Suisse case. They can't tell everybody there's a naked short of blank amount. Once they figure it all out. Remember, when you start trading, it's musical chairs. Everyone needs a seat. So if I pick up the shareholders, whatever the number was supposed to be, I can't remember, it was 165. You can't have 665. You can't have 500 million extra. They'll never tell that number. They'll never show it. But I do believe that FINRA, the SEC, whoever the short was, whether it's Citadel, whoever the big player is, they're going to make them pony up and pay everybody back on the stock. And then they're going to get sued. West and that team is going to make $50 million. And that will be sealed like Credit Suisse. That's what I believe is going to happen there.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think we're going to do good too.
Finger motion is in motion now. And once finger motion goes, if finger motion breaks, GTI will be between $3 and $5 following suit right behind it.
I'm right there with you, buddy. Hey, my wife's looking at me funny because I'm on vacation and she don't like me talking all this stuff. She's terrible, man. She's terrible.
Everybody, I got my girlfriend looking at me. Everybody's here.
I know. Hey, look, from down to the bottom of my heart, dude, I know you're in the trenches, and you know how I feel about you. We talked a little bit before, and Binsy's been around from day one, too.
No, listen, we appreciate it. Listen, it's the most important thing that you understand what's going on first. That's the number one thing. You have to understand it. We're fighting, so everybody understands, we're fighting the regulators. your own broker dealer, your prime broker with C-Trade Fidelity, for them not just demanding delivery of stock. We're fighting the SEC, your brokerage firm, the prime broker, the short seller, the newspapers.
Yeah, it's terrible, isn't it?
On our side, I don't even know. The only people on our side of all of us. That's it.
That's it. We got to keep together. Just keep that focus, and I'll tell you, we're gonna put it right through their heart, man. That 30 heart of theirs.
Go enjoy your vacation. Have a good night.
All right, man. You take care. Thanks, Busy. And thanks, William.
You're welcome.
You got it.
Oh wow, William's back.
He's hiding.
You know who else? What else is on our side? Self-interest. As they start losing money, they're going to cover and protect their own pocketbooks. Self-interest is on our
Williams
side.
having a tough time today because the tennis balls were irregular tennis balls at Wimbledon. They weren't good.
I don't want to think about Wimbledon.
We'll go to William right now. Let's go to Rocco, and then we'll talk with William. Go ahead, Rocco.
Hi. Early last week, I thought it might be a good play to buy some puts on Jeffries. So I bought the August 20 puts for 5 cents.
That's too near. That's too close.
And
It's going to take a little time for that. I think, like I said,
yeah, I soon found that.
wait for a finger to go, and then you jump into it. You'll have plenty of time because Wall Street, the big guns who own Jeffries, they move like this. They turn slow. But when they do, they turn and run real quick all at the same time. So, like Credit Suisse or like Silicon Valley Bank, how fast? I just wanted to let everybody know, when Silicon Valley Bank was $550 and it dropped to $50, I had no idea what was going on in that bank. But at $50, I would have taken a shot. I would have bought options. I would have got wiped out. It went to zero. So that's how fast they go. When these guys want out, that's how fast they go. So if Jeffries is playing with the feet and it's going to get funded, the street will find out. You're ahead of them because you understand the problem. But when it does hit, that's when the big boys will start running. That's why I said, September, October, that's when it starts running, that's when you look into those puts. But at nickel, it's $5. If you bought 50 of them, it's $250.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rocco.
Yeah, that's what happened. I bought 50 of them at 5 cents, but here's my quandary. The next day, they were 75 cents. So, but I can't. Yeah, they're 75 cents. But I can't.
But hit that bid.
There's no price to sell them. So it's showing as this big profit in my account, but I can't.
That's got to be a mistake. That can't.
So I bought the
moving up. It's impossible.
Right. So why would they put 75 cents on there? They're just stopping people from buying them.
But what happens is there's no market in them. So what you do is you become the market, right? This is what I would do. You bought 50 of them, sell 25 of them at 15 cents.
There's no market at all right now.
You make the offer. You're long, so offer them at 15 cents. If you sell them at 15 cents, then you bid 10 cents back.
I see.
$5 a trade back and forth, right? So you become the market maker. You can do it.
Okay. That's what my question was. Thank you.
So I would put half of them out there. You paid a nickel. If you sell them at 15 cents, you'll make 10 cents 50 times. That's $500. If you do it 25 times, you make $250. Right?
Right.
So
Thank you.
Put it out there. Make the market. Put it in right now when you hang up the phone. Put 15 of the August 20 put them out there for $15 to close. Remember, you got to put them to close. When you buy close, you buy them to open. When you sell them to close.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you so much. And then if you get a chance, take a look. They're 75 cents. I bought them at a nickel.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Rocco. Okay, let's go to William.
What?
You got anything for us,
Can you?
William?
William is going to the set. Get back to the television.
I couldn't hear what you said, but I think tomorrow fingers or Tuesday or Wednesday fingers going up. That's all I really want to say.
That's it. Listen, William, we're all talked out. I appreciate it. You had a tough day in your tennis world and busy. Thank you very much for helping. We answered a bunch of questions, I hope. But
I got one
I'm going to
more
go
for you.
take a shower and go watch some TV.
I got one more for you. I don't want to leave it hanging. Go ahead, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, you have the mic. Just unmute yourself, sir. Nope, you're good to go, Ham. Thank you for taking the
All right,
time.
everyone, have a great night. Again, if you have any questions, just, post it. We'll get to you.
All right, thanks, Sam.
All right, William, thank you, everybody.
Good night, Am.
All right, that was good. What's going on, Bam? Welcome to Take a Mic anytime, Bam. So, William, what do you got for us? I seen that you guys were chatting up away and not leaving Bryce's YouTube channel. How was that?
It's a lot like when you finally have a date and then another girl wants to go out with you the same night. I had made plans to talk with those guys, I don't know, last week, and I asked him to set this call up later, but he already did it, so I tried to do both. I apologize for not being present.
It's recorded there, so you can go back and listen to it.
It's over. Yeah, I'll listen to it. I guess the things that I wanted to say or would want to say is I think the market is telling us now that Finger's ready to go. Somebody's buying, and I'm sure I don't need to explain it because Ham probably explained it. But that's not to distract from GTII and MMTLP. I think if Finger runs and it goes with a bang, I think it's going to make that journalist at Forbes a laughingstock, and I think it'll make GTII go. So I think we're all in it together, is my point.
You know what? Usual Wells put out a tweet, and in regards of their hit piece on West Christian, but I just don't understand. They, 1988, they came out with an article in regards to naked shorting. So, are they trying to say that there is no such thing as naked shorting, but they wrote an article in 1988? So, I know a lot of us posted a screenshot of that article or an image of that article. So, I don't know what's going on with them. It just seems like Cam said, everybody's, or a gentleman that came up here to the mic said that pretty much everybody's against us. We just got to keep on fighting and expose the system.
I think a lot of visible people are against, but I'm persuaded there's quite a lot more support than you realize even in Congress and certainly on Wall Street. Not everyone's decided. I would go so far as to say 95% of the people on Wall Street are not dishonest, and they don't all understand this either. So there is an educational process going on, but I don't think we're going back to where no one knows about this anymore. Once seen, it's really hard to not see it.
All right, I'm going to keep it going for at least 10 more minutes, and then I have to shower up and go out to dinner. So
all right.
Let's go with Antonio. You have the mic. Antonio, you there? Willie, can you call on Antonio, because sometimes
Antonio.
You got to unmute yourself, Antonio.
You have to unmute yourself.
Go ahead, JD. You have the mic.
Hey, William, I got a question for you. I know nobody can put a date or a time on any of this stuff, but, I've been in this for, like I said, over 2 years now, and they've suppressed, I'm down a lot, okay? High six figures, I'm down a lot. But you know what? I'm committed to I'm committed to a few other stocks, but I am, the last 6 months, really committed to GTI and now Finger. But, with so much manipulation in that, I'm skeptical to even think about when this could run. But only because, like I said earlier, about the CEOs and because of the community that I'm confident we may get a run at this. But do you have like a possible date or time next 2-3 weeks?
When you say this, which one are you talking about?
Finger,
Okay.
because I'm true. I also think that GTI will probably run after it.
Well, unfortunately I think they'll go together, but I think it's Finger that'll lead the way. I hope you're right, because I'd like to come back and buy GTII. We're trying to read tea leaves. I agree with you on your concerns about the manipulation, and are they really powerful? Am I over talking somebody?
JD, you have an open mic. Go ahead and mute yourself while William's talking.
That they have all this power, that they're going to crush it, they're going to wipe us out and all that. But in the specific case of Finger, and these are just a lot of it's putting the information together, and then you make your thesis, you make your rationale. And, it doesn't mean I'm right 100%, but I think that the stock in Finger has been going up not because of us. Somebody else has been buying for a while. It got up off the mat. And I think that group or others are going to continue buying. And what I'm counting on is that Jeffries, if that's the prime broker, is not Alpine. I think Alpine, in the case of GTII with the Kramers, I think we're all in cahoots. Now you could argue that Jeffries, looks the other way, and you can argue all that, but Jeffries doesn't want to go out of business. They are not going to cover for this position, and it's already run. I don't know, $500,000, $600,000, $1 million against whoever's short. You can argue, there's so many ways to be negative. We could say, well, maybe the short isn't as big as we're saying, they're going to get us and all that. I just don't, at some point, the dynamics of the market, there are people and institutions and players that are, for their own reasons, playing Finger for the upside. There are also institutions that are probably going to have to buy in positions. So sorry, it's a long answer. I think it could be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that the stock is at $9, $10. And that could set up after that or during it, gapping open to 13, 15, 21, 33, 50. I could be believing my own spit, but that's how I see it, and I think it's going to get out of control for the shorts. But it's like the Djokovic match. There's a guy on the other side of the net, and we have to watch. Maybe it won't happen, but I think all the ingredients are there for it to happen very quickly. And remember, Tom Ronk said that the buy-ins have already started in Finger, and it'll take about 2 to 3 weeks. So,
I keep buying every 2 weeks. Every time I get paid, I keep buying GTI and now Finger. But I'm not negative on it in that sense, or negative in that it's not going to cover, because I think eventually it will, regardless. Not just GTI and Finger. I hope they actually go first. But I have several other stocks with AMC and GME and a few more, COSM. But I look beyond. What I've learned a lot now is not just in the stock market, but also the bond market and the global markets. And I just think that, are they doing so much fuckery that they're banking on some kind of black swan event where they're going to roll into we could be in for like a historic depression. And I'm not paranoid. Don't get me wrong. If I was paranoid, I'd be out of the market completely.
Well,
but are they betting on some kind of massive black swan event? Because and that way, when they roll into CBDCs and all this shit the government's trying to do, and the Fed and the central banks, because I cannot get it past me why they continue the insanity of the continued naked shorting that's being allowed. Regulators looked away, and our brokers not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And you know, who knows if some of these prime brokers and even market makers are helping one another out and preventing stocks from running.
Well, that's probably true, but a lot of people don't even understand it. It's evolved over time, but I think that what you're seeing is the New York, Tokyo, London financial system, access, whatever, it could all come down. Your perceptions are right, but for right now, for you want to make money in one of these. I'm not a diamond hands guy, and I don't think you have to stay in every single stock until it goes green, because if you're losing in one, you don't have to make the money back in that exact same stock. But the reason I am focused on Finger just kind of over the last, 4 weeks, maybe it's 5, is just the market's telling you right now that that's where it is. Pedro Philly, I think one of the smartest, one of the savviest, one of the smartest guys on these calls, when a few weeks ago he said, all these SEC filings and rules and all this, it's not doing anything because the shorts are still shorting without fear. And that's what you're describing. The other thing he said is the stocks will let you know when it's turning. And I think Finger is a specific case where it's letting you know. But there's no question that they're helping each other. It's a massive problem. And Wes Christian, I'm sure Ham said it, but Wes Christian believes there's trillions of shares in Germany that don't exist. And by the way, you brought up the securities market. It's happening in the bond market. It's happening in the precious metals markets on a scale you can't believe. So it is frightening. But,
I'm definitely, like I said, I'm committed to Finger. I mean, I've got a nice position in that now. And, again, come this payday, I will be buying more. There's no ands, ifs, or buts.
Well, don't forget to take some money off the table if it runs.
I've come to this conclusion. I'm not taking the money off the table, and I'll tell you why. Because I do believe that the markets are going to collapse. Everything I look at internationally, they're going to go. There's no doubt about it. They're setting up for it to go. So what my thesis is that I can lose it in my 401k and my pensions. I can lose it that way because many people are going to lose everything. Okay. I can lose it that way. I told people a year and a half, 2 years ago, you need to take if you don't believe what I'm saying, take your money and park it in a cash account, but get it out of the market because you're going to lose it. And all the catalysts that are brewing, it's coming to fruition. But I can lose it that way. Oh, you know what? I said, I understand the play. I'm not in it for the fundamentals of the company. And yeah, Finger does have good fundamentals. Several companies do. I'm not in it for that. I am in for the squeeze, and Ham has taught me the most on that. And I'm hedging my bet, and everything I got, I'm down 95% across the board. Actually, Finger and GTI, I'm not. But I made up some losses on with those two stocks, and I'm going to make a lot more. But I've come to the conclusion, I'm hedging that if we don't run regardless, I'm betting eventually we will, and the markets will collapse. And those motherfuckers are going to have to cover.
You're buying the stock, right?
Black swan. Pardon?
You're buying the stock in Finger? Sure.
Yeah, I just stocks and Finger stocks, and of course.
Yeah, it's like a long-term call option. It's not going to expire, so you're doing great.
Exactly. Even if the company goes, I still own the stock. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I come to that conclusion also. Yes. But I still think. I bought some options in that before, and it didn't work out well. I'll be honest with you, because I feel that they manipulate that too.
If I can tell you one thing about Finger, because before Busy shuts it off, I was listening to Martin Shen talk about his company, and the what do you call it? The cell phones 5. They're converting to 5, whatever 5 is.
Network 5, yeah, the
yeah.
network, I guess.
Yeah, in China, they're making the switch across China to whatever you call the 5. I'm sorry, my brain's not working. 5G, and they're doing it. It's all set up. It's going across the whole thing. So just remember this. One thing I picked up, and I should have not have forgotten it. Built in to the cost of the not monthly plans, the top ups and the purchase of the phones, is the cost of Apple Care. Now, there is no Apple Care in China, but Finger Motion is working with the largest New York-based insurance company who provides the care plans for phones. There's 1.6 billion phones in China. The plans are already paid for in the price, and it's all being rolled out with 5G. That's why I think Finger isn't going down.
Let me get Bam in here because I know he took a mic. Go ahead, Bam. I know you want to chime in.
So, you guys are talking about, a potential global shitstorm. The best thing you can do, in my opinion, is go hide in the Treasury Direct accounts. It'll take you probably a week or two. I've talked about this before. It takes a while to set it up because it's a government website and everything else. They're a little clunky as always. But what you do there is you at least remove the layer of risk that sits at the banking level. So now you take your, if you guys want to play some of these, the names you're talking about, and I have an opinion about which one can pop off first. But you go and hide in the Treasury Direct account, so it's just your name and the U.S. government. If you lose money in the Treasury Direct account and short-term T-bills, it means it's the end of the world, so it doesn't matter. And your bank would have gone down first. So it's way smarter to open up the Treasury Direct account in your name, and you can manage it online. You can do the very, very short-term T-bills so that your money's not tied up, for a long period of time. It's weeks. The shortest duration, it's just weeks. And, you make a little return, but that's not the point. The point is just to remove any extra layers of risk between your money and what it's invested in. So anyway, Treasury Direct, you can go online and look it up, treasurydirect.gov. And I would encourage everyone, even if you're just going to put $100, I can't remember if there's a minimum that's above $100. But anyway, you can move some money over there and then just, wet your feet and get used to it. So that's number one. And again, you're completely removing any of that bank risk. So then number two is, I heard somebody talking about longer term options. There are some leaps that are mispriced right now, in my opinion. So if you look across a whole universe of these stocks that tend to, sort of pop off one time, the meme, whatever you want to call it. Some people think that's an insult to call a stock you own a meme, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So when they're in the phase where they pull back and it's a very low velocity environment and it's pinning, where they're manipulating it and trying to buy time, the one advantage is that the leaps tend to be mispriced. And then, like Ham said, just because you see a huge spread between bid-ask doesn't mean that you can't wade in there and with a limit order, good till canceled, and just see if you can get filled. And you can kind of probe around with a smaller order, not your entire order to start with, and then ship away. But again, I think a leap's just a long-term option, and by definition, I'm pretty sure it's either 7 months or 9 months. Some people call a 6 month expiration a leap, and by the exact terminology, it's more like 7 or 9 months. But anyway, you can buy leaps in some of these small stocks that are potential short squeeze plays if they offer options. And you can go, out a year. or longer sometimes. So anyway, those are two observations. Then as far as the sort of universe of these stocks that are sort of taken off, Finger looked really good in my work, a couple weeks ago, and it tracked and it moved up explosively, and now it's tracked to the downside. It's in an environment here where they're trying to sit on top of it as hard as they can and run these, what I call these wet blanket pinning algorithms. And so at least if it continues to track my work, that one's probably going to underperform some of these other ones and sort of go through this resting period. But the two that look really explosive right here are both MMAT and GTII in my work. So I'm going to sort of focus on those. The GTII window is basically the 17th through the 27th. And then it happens to have one of those explosive expanding megaphone melt-up fractals like AMC had in May, June 2021. I'll skip the targets because it sounds like the audience isn't too big on upside targets, but I have them. I'm going to pass them along to some of the other people that I communicate with. And
I'd like to hear them.
Say again?
I'd like to hear them.
How about thumbs up in the audience if you want to hear, thumbs down if you think I'm going to curse all of you with any upside targets. How about that?
You're good, Bam. Let's go ahead and give us those targets, and then we're going to go to Brenda. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
So GTII is the most crystal clear setup. And basically, like I said, the zone of strength is the 17th to the 27th. Any break above $20.22, $2.22 re-enters the huge expanding pattern. Then you have a hidden retest at $5, so your move would be really dynamic from $2.22 to $5. And then you move through that $9 high, and then at the speed line during this zone of strength, the 17th through the 27th, is sitting up at between $48 and $50 if it made contact. And the way these work is that once the stock re-enters the expanding pattern, for whatever reason, human nature, whether it's a crash setup or a melt-up setup, price tends to run toward that speed line. And again, if it happened into that window, it'd be $48 to $50.
Terrific.
Thank you, Bam. Go ahead, Brenda. Brenda, you there? You got to unmute yourself. Hey, William or Bam, can you call on Brenda? Maybe I'm glitching.
Brenda, unmute.
She's there. Go ahead, Brenda. Unmute yourself. You did it once and then you remuted yourself.
Unmute, Brenda. There.
She dropped down. I sent her a mic again. Let's give her a second.
When Bam was talking, I was thinking of John Corzine's firm. I can't remember the symbol for it, RFG or anyway, MF, whatever. When it went bust, people's assets were not necessarily seized, but they weren't available to withdraw. It took months and legal action. So his caution is worth heeding.
Yeah, a good friend of mine who had some of his fund.
MFS, was it MFS?
Yeah, Global.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine had some of his hedge fund money there. And after it was tied up for, I don't know if it was 6 months, it was a long period of time. He went ahead and took the payout where they would clip you for 10%. They gave you the option. Would you like to be paid out minus 10%? And he took the 10% haircut just to, get his money
Wow.
good back in the account and be able to start trading again. So, yeah, that was Corzine. He never got in trouble, did he?
Wow.
Hey, that was a question for Bam, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead and then we'll go to...
Thanks. Busy. Hey, Bam, the fuckery across the market, especially with AMC and GME and that, and many, many other stocks. What do you think of? You think they're actually colluding in some respect in regards to trying to just hold this off until some kind of global reset or depression hits? Shit show?
I do. And I know I respect Ham a ton. and he knows a lot more about his area than I ever will. I think sort of a good default just to keep yourself sane is probably say, no, there's probably no high level collusion and just, because what does it matter anyway, right? And you tend to drive yourself a little bit nuts. But if you ask me for my honest opinion, then yes, just because I see some stuff happening and I've talked to Pedro about this before. I just happening in different areas in the market, plumbing, that look like it would be too complex to just be doing it at a one-off basis. So that's why I thought it was sort of a preservation, the sort of preservation mode where, the people in power have said, all right, we'll go ahead and look the other way while we try to unravel this whole mess. But I don't think the mess is unraveled. It's probably gotten worse. And so it's just going to end the way it ends. But anyway.
You're right on that, and I think it goes as high as to the world governments and the Fed, the central bank. There's no question, central banks globally. I mean, they're the ones that control a lot of everything that's going on in this world itself. But I'm not paranoid. I'm preparing. I'm not a prepper or any of that stuff. But again, my thesis is it's going to crash, and they're going to have the cover. Now, the only thing that could happen that they're just going to get a fucking get out of jail free card. I don't know, that might cause a revolution, who knows, but if a black swan event, that could probably cause that, but in regards to them not paying.
It's interesting that Ham continued to talk about issuing these black eyes, dealing out these black eyes one at a time. I mean, almost every call I joined, and I haven't listened to all of Ham's calls, but it seems like his common theme is, one at a time these guys can be taken down. Ticker by ticker. And it's sort of interesting that, I have a couple that are sort of synced up in the same windows of strength, like GTII and MMAT during this, window coming up, 2-week window, we'll call it. But I also look around at the universe and see where it looks to me like they're purposely trying to run some of the other ones during different timing windows, so that they can let one rest while they let the other run to try to prevent sort of the catastrophic everything melting simultaneously.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much my thought also, and I think Ham's thinking is that GTI and Finger are they're not big enough to bring the market down, like an AMC or a GME, one of the big ones out there, especially AMC. I mean, I'm in the AMC heavy, no doubt about it. But yeah, something like that will definitely bring it down. That's why it's so heavily manipulated. But I think, like you said, GTI and Finger will only cost, I don't know, 10 billion, 50 billion, something like that. It's not going to be to crash the financial system as such.
Did you guys, I hope everybody on the call, I hope you were able to watch the videos that I posted on Friday, specifically showing what was going on with respect to AMC's trading and the time and sale, and not moving over and printing into the data and the tick charts. Did you guys watch those videos at all?
Yeah, I watched it, and the fuckery in AMC runs very deep.
I mean, this is new though. This is, I mean, that right there is something that is so blatant and in the open. It's not us speculating about what might be happening behind the scenes. So anyway, if you haven't seen that, I encourage you to go look at it. I don't monetize my YouTube channel, so I have no incentive to talk this up other than just to expose specifically a real example on the lit exchange that did not make its way over to print on the charts that you watch and trade off of and that drive technical indicators.
Hey, Bam, do you have that on a tweet? And if you could, can you tweet it and post it on the Nest?
Dude, I not only tweeted it multiple times, it's my pinned tweet right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah, I tagged Charles Payne. I ask everyone that follows me to retweet it, mentioning him, and they've slowed it down. It looks like it's a little shadow ban starting early this morning, but I think it's been retweeted 900 and something times. So I have to believe Charles Payne has seen this thing, and hopefully he will it or talk about it. We'll see.
I'll get with you. I'll get with you via DMs. Does he follow you, Bam?
He does, but he follows a ton of people.
Yeah, go ahead, DM him. I know that I have several correspondence with him, but if you want, I could also share it with him. I know Copy and Paste could do the same because he has correspondence with him too. Let's go to Savvy, and I know that Smokey's up here. He wants to talk some MMAT, and so that's number 2. But let's go to Savvy.
Yeah, so, hey, Bam, nice to have you in a space. Really appreciate you being here. William and Busy, thank you. I did post up in the nest. I believe Smokey threw it up there as well. So we hit you 2 times, mister. But really quick, for those of you that wanted to catch, and I don't mean to take away from this space, but I think, Busy, you said you were going to shut down soon. So Josh Stye and his wife, who is a doctor, they're hosting their second mental health space, and we're discussing radical acceptance and how you can build better mental health for trading. So just want to let you guys know that is going on when Busy's done here. If you guys want to pop over, that'd be great.
What time
and that's also up in the nest.
Did it start already?
It did.
Okay, all right, good. So we can send everybody that way. Go ahead. Let's go to Smokey at number 2, and then that'll be the last 2 speakers, and then we'll head over to.
Hey, yeah. I don't know. I didn't really have much I wanted to say. I actually just wanted to ask Bam something. You had mentioned that you had price targets as well for MMAT. Now, I'm not normally one to want targets in any way, shape, or form, but I'm currently back testing. Sorry, I've got my dog over here wanting to play. Back testing standard deviations and linear regressions and trying to learn new modes of trading. And so I was just curious on how you're finding these price targets, because like I said, I want to see if maybe I can line stuff up with these channels as well.
So my sort of secret weapon that I had only shared with 3 other people anywhere on planet Earth for the past 20 years, it's called hidden retest levels. And it's a discovery I made when I went back and studied the 1929 stock market crash and the 87 crash, and was trying to figure based on Fibonacci, the things tools I was using at the time, what would help us come up with these targets. Turned out that it was as simple as these hidden retest levels. So I've shared those with everyone who's ever been into any of my AMC conversations. It would be a little bit difficult to describe to you to where you would understand it right now in real time, but it's very simple once the light bulb goes off in your head. But anyway, that's what I use as my main upside target, and then this very, very specific expanding pattern that I talk about, and a lot of people have started to talk about this expanding megaphone melt-up fractals. They're not doing it exactly right. It's a super specific way the price has to trace out, and it's a very, very deep retracement after a powerful first leg move off of a long downtrending move, and there's a very steep trajectory, and that's what sets in place this thing I call the speed line. And then if price happens to move up into the expanding pattern, just for whatever reason, it tends to run really, really hard in a sort of a melt-up way toward that. When I can see a hidden retest level sitting up inside the expanding megaphone melt-up fractal, and then I see that sitting right into a really specific, compelling zone of strength, basically just all the components of the stuff I study come together. And then as soon as it gets above that trip level, which in the case of GTII, like I said, is $2.22, that represents price moving back into the expanding pattern. And then we just happen to have that hidden retest at $5. So now I know, okay, if we move into that expanding pattern on velocity, it wants to run toward $5. That gets us deep into the expanding pattern, and then I start to look at the speed line. I match it up with the dates, and between the 17th and the 27th, the speed line sits up at $48 to $50. So it's really that simple, but it takes a long, long time, and it's really rare to get a stock to move through all the different waves it has to move through to set this thing up.
Wow, it sounds like you use a lot of different things. So I hear Fibonacci retracement, or I'm sorry, extensions. I hear time zones. I might have even heard a little bit with the deviations. you got a lot going on in there. That's kind of cool. I'm going to look into that. That's all very interesting.
And the interesting part about the hidden retest levels, and even though the options market didn't exist, back in 1929, obviously, but the interesting thing is I've had some guys DM me that do a lot of work with sort of liquidity clusters where the S&P futures and the other stock index futures are in these huge swings that you see up and down, these huge violent swings. And if you guys have probably noticed, we're tending to retrace a full 76% or more of a lot of these moves, even if you're going to head back and trend in the initial direction again. Turns out that a lot of those liquidity clusters, with my hidden retest levels right kind of in the middle. So it's really interesting. A lot of this stuff, I still believe that human nature drives the majority of what you're seeing in the market. I also think that the people who have the most money, the most capital to deploy in markets, and the guys that they've hired and women that they've hired to write the algorithms have piggybacked some of the human emotion. So it's sort of amplifying it even more. But other than them trying to purposely run through stop loss levels to the upside and downside before it moves toward one of these big liquidity clusters and my hidden retest levels, other than them running through stop losses way, way more often, the rest of this sort of looks like it did in everything I've studied back into the 1915 period. And I studied things down to the hourly level, all the way back to the run up into the roaring 20s, into the 1929 top and the crash.
Thank you, Bam. Let's go to number 2.
Hey guys, how's it going? Busy. Hey, Bam. Hey, I know you were mentioning the two that interest you right now was GTII and MMAT, and you spoke to the 1727. It's a melt up and all that. The hidden retest. What about MMAT? You didn't really kind of something came up, and I just want to know what your thoughts are with regards to MMAT with the same comments that you have for GTII.
So the way I handle, MMAT has a hidden retest at $1.75. So the way I would handle this personally, and I own it, is I just want to make sure that I'm long heading into one of my zones of strength, and then whether it can start to really run that hard or not, I don't know ahead of time. I don't have the advantage of seeing a expanding megaphone melt-up fractal in MMAT, but they may have just washed that stock out so severely to the downside that they broke that existing sort of expanding pattern that I had in play. And I've said before on these calls, the one thing I have noticed that I used to have a hard rule where you're not allowed to retrace back through the point of origin on the structure, like the low that sets up this expanding pattern. In the old days, you weren't allowed to break back through that, or it would negate the setup, and I would sort of move away and tell everybody, hey, it's off the board. Lately, over the past 2 years, we've had some situations where they've actually forced it down through some manipulation through the point of origin of the structure, turned around, and it actually followed all of my original rules from the old days. So it's I don't know. I can tell you that if it starts to run hard, I'll be looking at that $1.75.
I'm a co-host, so I can't quit. But it'll as soon as
July
he shad
I just have to, first it has to start to track to the upside. Chance it can probe 18 cents one more time before it turns up, but then it has a really compelling zone of strength that sort of syncs up with that 17th through the 27th that GTII has.
What about that price that we've seen here in this 18, 19, 20 cent range, 21? Is that what you're talking about, them driving that down, possibly just having been driven down that in that fashion?
Yeah, there's a hidden retest still sitting at 18 cents in my 5-minute model. And so, it closed 1861, I guess, on Friday.
Yeah, it's sitting at 20 now after hours.
I see that. But so anyway, I can't, I have to always respect if there's a hidden retest level to the downside. Yeah. But this thing looks so explosive, and we're almost sitting right on top of the zones of strength. So, really for that one, the 19th forward to the 27th is like the most compelling. But I don't want to pound and have zero position personally against this 18-cent open hit and retest, because a great example is AMC. AMC back in June, before that run, it had a hidden retest sitting in the 9s and took off to 72 before it came back, a year later and retested the 9. So, I just try to use judgment, and I'm a big fan of legging in and legging out. I used to be the all or nothing guy. And, so as far as psychology goes, I started to think about it, and it's almost like whether you are trying to or not, you're training your brain to think that you're such a genius that you know the exact spot to buy and the exact spot to sell if you're all in and out in a single trade. So I just found that it number one, it kind of retrained my brain to be more humble. And then number two, it actually helped me in situations where sometimes I'd be left behind with zero position after doing all this work, or I'm waiting around for the last, 5 cents or $1 on the upside, and I get caught in a gap down with a full position. So I love dividing my capital into 4 slices. And then if I'm really bullish, going in with
You said that was
units,
the
so
last
half of the total
question,
bet,
so
right?
it should be
And
over
then
soon.
open good to cancel
Should
limit
be over
orders,
soon.
like in the case of MMAT, sitting down there at
Are you saying
a little
shut
bit above
the-
18 cents, and just
I
let
do
it
need
play
some
out. That's
Arabic
kind of the
coffee.
way I like to do things.
Yeah, I get that. That's that wisdom over time. You learn the hard way sometimes.
All right, that's it?
I appreciate that. Thanks for all you do. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Number 2, let's go to Lord.
Hey guys, I follow all of y'all and I appreciate everything that's being done. And
Lord.
I'm an Auburn guy, so War Eagle, bam. But basically, what I wanted to say is I
Lord.
follow Mark Cahotis also, and he is in a massive battle with the shorts over Overstock and in ENVX. It's kind of an interesting thing to watch him also. Just get your thoughts. I just want to get your thoughts on his battle and what
Oh,
you think.
no.
Tim.
Oh, no. Another.
Thanks for that, because I have not looked at OSTK in a long time. So why don't you guys talk about something
That
else?
must be a short
I'm going
answer
to
then.
update my model while you guys are
Why don't
talking,
you
and then I'll
answer
come
it
back.
tomorrow?
Yeah, no problem. Ben. Go ahead, Smokey, if you got anything else, or William, if you wanted to chime in and add anything else.
No, I think you did a great call. I just want to say I'm not as good technically as Bam, but I think Finger has a chance of actually moving higher with alacrity over the next couple of days or couple of weeks. And I'm not contradicting him. I think his analysis is good, but I just want to say
No,
that.
I'm 100% with you over a couple of weeks, and it looks especially. So there's an algorithm running that they set up off of the most recent high from last week. Okay, and that's in my work, that's what pulled it down into the range that it's in right now. That algorithm loses its pinning strength on the 27th. I think it'll start to move back up prior to that, but I agree with you 100% that the Finger still looks great longer term. It's just that if I were forced to deploy some capital short term, GTII and MMAT look better sooner. But then I have no problem at all. I think Finger's a great one to actually accumulate if it trades sideways or even slightly down. But I don't disagree with you at all.
Great.
Are you ready for that overstock data? Or,
Yeah.
go ahead, shoot it.
I don't have a ton of.
Let's just talk over it.
All I can tell
I
you is
put
if
the
it doesn't
microphone
continue
off.
to follow through, it's going to be in a world of hurt. As
Somebody
far
asked
as
me, what do I
the
agree with his
algorithm that
numbers?
they're trying to run on it to.
Somebody asked me also
to
what
pin
his
it.
numbers were on
Give me one more second
GTII.
here.
I think what I'll do is I'll put this
This one's a little more
down. I'll put that down there. Put this up here.
Get with Lord on that, if possible.
And then we can talk.
His name is Lord Humongous.
Do me a favor and DM me, Lord.
Yeah, Patience of Job.
Lord,
But I
And remind me.
I might have all the problems of Job too.
Lord, did you hear that?
I got it. Thank you so much.
Hey, no problem, sir.
War Eagle.
With that being said, thank you, Bam, so much for taking the mic. It's always a pleasure having you on. And William, thank you. Thank you, Ham.
Thank you, Busy.
Everybody that contributed today. That was a great call. I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks, Williams.
Catch you later. Bye.
All right, have a
All right. Now, enough comedy jokes. I just want to show you why I think on Finger. You might have been watching before, but this is why I think Finger's going up. And charts don't mean jack shit, but this bottom trend line we've been trading off of. This is a double bottom here. We've been trading off of. And I'm not exact, but this goes up and then up here. What you do is you take this trend line here. I'm never going to be able to do this. Take this trend line here, and you just go up and you find where it fits. Where it fits. It's pretty basic. It's not all that complicated, exploding, spinning, whirling dervishes on the spot 4, 2, 3, and then it counts to a 6. All that's great, by the way. I'm not making fun of it, but for me, I can't. My mind goes elsewhere. So anyway, we had on one of my previous charts, I was right. Not me, but I read it. We pulled up and then come back here. Now we're running. We're just coming back a little bit. And I think we're going to break through here to around 950. There's this here you could say is a test 3 times, but certainly here it is. 1, 2, and if we get here, it'll be the 3rd time. And so maybe you pull back before you break out. But my number up here, is $70. That's Finger. And then somebody asked me, do I agree with GTII? His numbers on GTII are 222. I'd love to hear why. It'd probably take him a long time to answer, but I'd love to hear why. I'm one to talk, right? I'd love to hear why it's on the 17th to the 27th. But anyway, it's $2.22, then 5, then 9, and then he's got 48 to 50. I agree with him. Well, my number, I didn't print it out, but my number on GTII, somebody asked on the last call and I forgot to answer it, but my number short term on GTII is $1.90 to $2. That's not that much farther off, further off from his target of 222. I do think the 3, 4, 5 level could see some selling because so many people might just want to get their money out. But I agree with his $9 number. I think you're going to see it go 5, maybe 8, 9, 10, 13. And I think where I'm not smart enough to say he's wrong. Maybe GTII goes first. There's a lot of money going into it, but I think Finger has the chance of going first. But I think GTII is going to go at the same time. Sorry to keep yawning. Somebody else asked me, and I'll scroll down a little bit. But somebody asked me, can the options this week close out of the money or in the money? I think it's going to be a battle tomorrow morning. They're going to try to keep it down, and then they're going to hope to bring the price of the stock sort of flat until Friday, so they can burn as many people that are new to options, burn them by losing all the call premium. That's going to be definitely on their mind. I think offsetting that is the fact that the stock is up from $1.44 and there is margin pressure. People are losing money. So I think that's going to be offset with real buying. And maybe there's just new whales coming in. So yes, it's a risk that will go this week. So they try to, suck out as much premium as possible. On the other hand, it could get out of control, and they could be trying to close it. I'm making it up at $20 on Friday instead of at 7 or 8. Yeah, a lot of the options closed in the money last Friday. I don't remember the number, but that's what somebody said. They run the risk also of a gamma squeeze this Friday. I just think it's going up. I could be wrong, but I think this is a normal pullback. Possibly what Bam said is right in the sense, where I drew this line right here, maybe it needs to test it 2 more times. So he might be right about that, and that would be really unfortunate for the Friday options. But I also see this as potentially, I don't know if it'll happen tomorrow, but potentially it opens at 6, 8, 9, 10. And one thing I want to be clear, should the teacher stand so near? All of this here, all this resistance here, I'm going the wrong direction, here, and maybe here too. I don't think it exists. I think anybody there's very few people waiting to sell back at those numbers. I think the weak hands are already gone. So I just don't see much. While you look at the charts for resistance, I don't see that there's going to be much selling there. Yeah, I wouldn't sell until the squeeze. Absolutely, Mark Maddox. I think buy-ins could happen sooner, but $9 would do it. And that's why it could start getting out of control. Many whales, yeah, the earnings, yes. And not legal advice made a good point, although not legal advice made a good point that there can be a 3-day lag between earnings announcements and the stock price moving. That used to be the case all the time. I don't know in a manipulated world if it still is, but he's 100% right. I would even go further, or is it farther or furtherer? I would go further with it and say that if you were a large buyer, and thank you, Barbara L., thank you very much. If you were if you were a large buyer of Finger, I think you'd wait for the earnings announcement. You'd wait over the weekend and you'd start buying this week. Because if someone comes back later and said, why were you buying so much? You could say, well, the earnings came out. We studied it over the weekend. We checked with our team and our, you know, our chick in the research office said, time to buy. Do I agree with the $50 number? Well, at the risk of sounding stupid, I don't see any reason why it would stop at 50. Once this is about as far as I go on Fibonacci. I think you're going to see GTII trade when it goes, if it goes, and it's not financial advice. I think it's going to go 9, 13, 21, 34, 55. So yeah, I agree with them there. And then I forget, 89, 144, and then what is that one? 233. That's how I think it's going to trade. So I think it'll get to 50, 55. But anything that gets this stock to 50 could very easily get it to 500 before you can drive home and get to your computer. So you have to have your GTC orders in. Thank you, Barbara. It's very kind of you. I'm going to go out and have my first drink in 4 years to drown my sorrows about Djokovic. No, I'm not going to do that. I just, frankly, I turned after he lost the tie break in the second set, I knew it was over. And there was something wrong with his serve the whole match. They also left the roof open. I think they intentionally do things to make it hard for Djokovic. The wind. Yesterday with the women, they closed the roof because of the wind. Today they left it open, and he was missing the lines. Anyway, I'll get over it. Well, we're all frauds in our own way. One thing is very clear to me, my love. Should the teacher stand so close, my love. Graduation. So, his advice on MMAT, I'm listening to, but MMAT did a disastrous financing. So, but it might be over with. So that's a very interesting call. MULN might be better. If you want to know fractals, take a hit of DMT. I don't know what the heck a fractal is anyway. All I know is it sounds like, I know that Djokovic is a great guy and he's a good man. I don't know what a fractal is. Just sounds like a complicated word for a fraction or a maybe it's the real numbers. I don't know. Whatever. The numbers that what's the term? Real number? Like 1, There's a name for it. Anyway. We need a win. Van Halen. You know I've been to the edge, babe. And there I stood and looked down. You may have something I want, girl. But I've got something you need, you need. I ain't talking about love. My love is rotten to the core. Ain't talking about love. You know you're semi-good looking. Best line in a song ever. Prime number. That's what I was thinking of. Prime number. Prime numbers. Maybe that's what he's talking about. She's got legs. Their best song I liked was... How did it go? Dum, dum. I can't remember. All right. Dos Equis, you asked me a question. I can't remember it. But yeah, you need people like Arca and Avid and Bam. You need them. It's not, you read your Emily Dickinson and I, my Robert Frost. It's just not, my eyes glaze over. You lost a lot of friends. You know, I lost a lot of friends. That's right. You know, I lost a lot of... But what's the song? I guess it's Running with the Devil. That first album was the best one they did. Come on and love me. I don't know. There's some other great lyrics out there. There's some great lyrics. It's a small portion of the total chart, not used to determine the future by scientists in engineering. My brother has a doctorate in electro. He doesn't think much of a fractal. You're once, twice. He almost says twice. 3 times a lady, and I love you. I love you. When we are together, the moments I cherish with every beat of my heart. One of their best songs I don't think it was popular, was Sail On Down the Line, about a mile or so. Some people told me so. I was wishful thinking. I don't mind the things you do or say, Lord. You took all my money and my time. But something, but please just go away. 'Cause I've thrown away my blues. I'm tired of being used. I'm looking for a good time. Good time, yeah. Sail on, party. Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me was Tony Orlando and Dawn. and twice on the pipe if the answer is no. Oh, my darling, knock 3 times. Yeah, Three Dog Night was Three Dog Night was Three Dog Night. I can't remember a single one, but they had a couple good songs. I'm crying over you, crying over you, 'cause you da 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 and na 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 na, and I'm crying, crying. Of course, the screen door slams, Mary's dress waves. Like a vision she dances across the porch as the radio plays. Roy Orbison sings for the lonely. Hey, it's you and I want you only. Come turn me on again. I just can't find myself. How about My Sharona? My Sharona. Yeah, knocked 3 times. It wasn't Three Dog Night, though. It was Tony Orlando and Dawn. Three Dog Night had a absolutely, I think the word is pure real song. Ugh, there was one that was terrible. Oh, Joy to the World. Ugh. Joy to the world. I liked an old-fashioned love song, and I liked Black and White. The ink is black, the page is white. Together we learn to read and write. The boy is, I forget how it worked. And the do. Pieces of April was good. Try a Little Tenderness, amazing. Yeah, well. Tony, he also did Tie a Yellow Ribbon Round the Old Tree. I don't, my one thought, Jay, I'm photographic, Mr. Photographic, is when he talks long term, I think he's talking weeks. When I talk long term, I'm talking a year. So I think it's just a difference in time frame. I remember Martha. Oh, look at what that guy's doing on the. Look what he's. I can't go further because it's. Oh my gosh. You never heard of him. See? That's what happens. That's what happens when Thunder Road. That's what happens when. Does Ham agree with Tom Ronk that finger buying is? Yes, he does. Wouldn't the volume have been even higher toward the end of the week? Well, it's a good question because I don't know the mechanics. First, you start with the margin calls, and then you get the buy-ins. And I don't know the mechanics, nor do I know the dynamics of the relationships that are going on with Jeffries. I mean, let's take it to the maximum extreme. Maybe Dr. Evil is sitting over in a lair in Germany, and he has thousands of boiler rooms across the world, and they're all selling hundreds of shares at the same time. And maybe they're going to try to win on this, suppress this one, absorb the cost. I don't see it. They have to sell in the United States. They have to meet their margin calls. If the money's already offshore, they're not going to bring it back onshore. And even to Dr. Evil, $1 million, $1 million, $1 billion is a lot, and it could be 2, 3 very quickly. So I think the lying is going on, the hiding of trades is going on, the pleading, oh, we're your best account, he's my best account, give us a little more time. All of that's going on. And maybe they just haven't pulled the trigger finally. But I don't think the volume had to be bigger last week when it was pulling back. I think to use a colloquialism, which I hope doesn't offend, but I think they shot their wad trying to short it back down. And I don't think they have any power coming into tomorrow morning. Now watch, they'll prove me wrong. But where are they going? Where are they going? No one's going to help them. So, yeah, I think the buy-in could have started, but it could start slowly. It could be a warning. Bring in money or bring in shares, or I don't know the dynamics of it. But it's clear that Benchmark and all of their people are, all of their, I don't know what to call these, LLCs or funders, hedge funds, are probably pretty important to Jeffries, so they're giving him some time. But when the whip comes down, it'll come very quickly. I cried a tear. Ham, he's laughing at me, and he's expecting me to. I loved Black. Sheets of empty canvas, untouched sheets of pain. She laid out there before me as her body lay still. Oh, 5 horizons revolve around her sun. I don't know how, I'm not remembering it all, but I liked that one. I also loved Estranged, was one of my favorites. Yeah, Ham calls it like he sees it. Every time that, well, I look in the mirror in total surprise at the hair on my shoulders and the age in my eyes. Amanda, You light up my life. You should have made, you could have been a gentleman's wife. I got that wrong. Amanda. Your grandpa used to sing, Waylon, nothing like Waylon. Long ago and far away, in my common labor shoes, I tried to turn the world all which away. No, I'd try to turn the world a which away, just because you asked me to. Like unto no other field, simple love is simple truth, and all I do anything you asked me to. I can't get it quite right. A gentler man's wife. Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam was great. Pearl Jam was great. I'm trying to remember his name. I mean, you know the whole story about that. Great. He was just pouring out his pain from his childhood. I never thought I'd be serenading, and luckily I don't have to listen to myself. Yeah, Eddie Vedder, great voice. Red wine. I'm too high. Go to my head. Make me forget that I still need her so. I'd had sworn that with time thoughts of you would leave my head. I was wrong, and now I find just one thing makes me forget. Red wine, stay close to me and be the only one for me. Country. There's fenced yards ain't hole cards, and lack is not never. God, I'm all out of key. She stood beside me, letting me know she would be something to lean on when everything ran out on me. Fence yards ain't hole cards, and lack is not never will be. Reason for rhymers and old five and dimers like me. Old five and dimer is all I intended to be. I have to go to the truck tomorrow. That's right. I gotta go to the truck tomorrow morning. Gotta go. I'm gonna be there bright and early. Why me, Lord? What did I ever do to deserve even one of the pleasures I've known? Why me, Lord? I'm getting the words out of sequence. And you show me a way on my way back to you. Lord, help me, Jesus. I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus. My soul's in your hands. I'll video my excursion, and Chris couldn't sing, but he wrote slapping time and me and Bobby McGee, yeah. Na 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 Bobby McGee. I guess he actually dated Janis Joplin. She must have been a fun girl. That's a good one. Wow. I don't know. My ears stuffed, so I'm not that I have any key or pitch. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever. Blossoms of snow do you bloom and grow, bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss. I'm forgetting all the words. If Finger is running tomorrow, how will I sell my calls and shares? Well, I don't own any shares. I just have calls. And I sat down and I wrote it out. So I'll answer that. I have the July 8 calls, the July 9 calls, and the July 10 calls. If the stock opens down, the premiums are going to disappear. The bids will disappear, and it's like a big gulp. But if the stock, so I won't do anything. If it's flat to down, you have to James Dean it. You have to I'm just going to ride it out and see what happens, because in return for paying very little money for these, I have a lot of them. So, well, for me, for you, it's probably not a lot. So anyway, if the stock goes to 9 tomorrow, what I'm going to do, I'm going to sell my July 8s if it goes to 9 for $1. And then I'll try to buy some August calls to replace it, or I'll probably have to buy fewer. But that's what I'm thinking, is if it only goes to 9 tomorrow, I'll sell my 9 calls. With the 10s, what I might do is if it goes to 9, I would say, I'm misreading it. I would sell my 8 calls at $1. And then I would look to see if there's a premium on the $13 or $12 or $14 calls. and I would sell those against my 9s and 10s, hopefully bringing in 50 cents and ride it out. If it goes to 10, I would sell my $8 calls at $2 and my $9 calls at $1. And again, trying to buy some August calls with the money, and then sell some higher strike price against the July 10s for half a buck. If it went to 15 or higher, if it went to 15 Tuesday or Wednesday, I would be inclined to sell just at the market and by August. But the reason I'm hesitating and going back and forth before I answer is if it goes to 15 or 21, it may be on its way. And then I may just say, I'm going to let it ride. Ride, 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 let it ride. He was a Rhodes Scholar, and he also said the biggest breakthrough in his life was when he discovered that women wanted sex as much as men did. You just got to find a girl that wants sex with you as much as you want sex with her. I don't know. Those times are really over for good. Are we rolling downhill like a snowball headed to hell? I remember when a buck was still... Anyway, I can't remember all the words. That's right, Mark. That's BTO. Oh, that's it. Taking care of business every day. Taking care of business. If it goes to 15, it's on its way. That's exactly right. So what you're going to be fighting this week is the bids will disappear. And you're going to go, shoot, I should have. But it might be time when the bid disappears. Heck. And the ask is 5 cents, 10 cents. I'm going to double up. I'm going to just, if I lose everything, I'm just going to see what happens on Thursday and Friday. Because you don't know. Number one, you don't know when the buy-ins come. You also don't know when the whales maybe start buying. You don't know when there's an effect of a gamma squeeze, if there's going to be one. You don't know. And you also don't know. You could say they're going to try to close it at 5 on Friday. They may try to close it at 12. You don't know. So one of the reasons Ham recommended the July calls is he thinks it's going right now. That's how it feels to me looking at the charts. Look at that chart. Why would it stop? I don't understand the logic of why this is going to suddenly go sideways. Look at this. This is about here. Well, I don't know. I'm looking at it. It's about here. There's plenty of room left. And I don't see this as resistance because those people are gone. So there's 1, 2, and this will be the third time. That's why I think it could, go to 9.5, 10, maybe pull back, and then boom. I think this right here is your channel. And it's going to 69.75, going to 70. And there's no reason that has any magical hold. It's just a target. Fractals help you understand the past, but not necessarily predict the future. You know, when I hear about a fractal, I just want to make sure I wash my hands. A huge W. How about bigger institutions coming? But yeah, exactly. Also, David, you make a really good point. As the stock starts moving, institutions would rather, believe it or not, they'd rather buy it at 10 or 12 if they think it's about to move. They'd rather pay that than 2 or 3, and that's dead money for 10 months. So you make a good point. You ain't seen nothing yet. Baby, you ain't seen nothing yet. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Take me home, country roads, to a place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads. All right, so enough comedy jokes. Enough comedy jokes. She walks these hills in a long black veil. She visits my grave when the night winds wail. Nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody knows but me. The judge said, son, what is your alibi? If you were somewhere else, then you won't have to die. And I spoke not a word. I'd have been in the arms of my best friend's wife. Am I going to watch Aces live? Maybe. I got to eat. But when does Ace go live? John Denver. Well, the problem with growing up when I did, you had to listen to a lot of songs on the radio to hear the one song you wanted to hear. And that meant listening to a lot of songs that just weren't necessarily what you wanted. I actually like that song. It goes, I'm not Lisa. My name is Julie. Lisa left you years ago. My eyes are not blue, but mine won't leave you until the sun shines through your face. She was your morning sun. She was your, but she left you here, drowning in your tears, here for all these years. I lost the words. All right, any minute. Yeah, it's Waylon's wife. Waylon. Yeah, she had a great voice, and she does a great song. That's a great song. He did a lot of good songs. I think his version of The House of the Rising Sun is the best one. He also did MacArthur's Park is melting in the rain, and I don't think that I can take it. It took so long to bake it, and I'll never have that recipe again. Oh no, oh no. My Little Deuce Scoop. I can't sing My Little Deuce Scoop. All right, so if Ace is going live, I guess I should let him go live. Let's read this. Kit Kitteridge, I'm ready to win. Remember, GME had 4 days of 100% gainers on the way up. Ladder GTCs, no stop, Terry. Yep. Way overshorted. Yeah. Look, Finger has a massive short position. And what's not on this chart, this is what you remember in, I guess, November. But back here on this chart, it was $15, $16. And so I don't see any reason why it can't do that this week. Will it? Maybe it'll be next week. Maybe it'll be the week after. But it feels like Finger has the potential to go now. I hope we're not disappointed, because nobody has a crystal ball. Oh, Rose, my darling, I've hungered for your touch all those long and lonely nights, and time goes by. No. Yeah, that's it. So slowly, but time can do so much. Are you still mine? I need your love. Godspeed your love. Godspeed your love to me. Lonely rivers flow to the sea, to the sea. Wait for me, wait for me. And I've lost it. All right, he's live now. If it runs, where does it go? Finger, I assume you're talking about. I think Finger and GTI have very similar setups. There's 140 million, 150 million shares to cover in Finger. If you don't believe that and think it's hogwash, and that's the issue. If it's 10 million or 20 million to cover, I think Finger goes $20, $30, $40 easily. But I think it breaks out, and it can go to 500 in an afternoon and higher. And I think GTI has the same thing. Pavarotti. He does a song. When people are in love, when two people are in love, they tend to know it. When people are in love, they tend to show it. I can't remember it. He's a goofy guy. He's a goofy guy. Anyway, I can't think of any other songs. There's the song blue. Everybody. He has that one. Hello again. Hello. Just called to say hello. I think about you every night. You're there alone by the phone. Hello. All right. I am going to let Avid have his call, because I think by the time I'm singing songs from memory, I've lost my sanity. So Kalinka, Kalinka, Kalinka Maya. We'll just leave it there. Pulled into Nazareth. That's great. Marvin Gaye does the best Star Spangled Banner, but he did some great songs, Marvin Gaye. And I remember my mother brought Otis Redding home, and my dad got all upset. But Otis Redding was good. We've only just begun to live, white lace and promises, a kiss for luck, and we're on our way. We've only just begun. All right, so I have to get off before I sing. Well, I drove past your house last night, and I looked in your window. Lately I ain't been feeling right, and I don't know the cure, Lord. You say I was just, but you know it wasn't right. Won't you take me back and try me again? Yeah, Whitney Houston did a great version, but I'm telling you, Marvin Gaye's version was incredible. Anyway, let's leave it there. 2 minutes to go. Go listen to Ace. Thanks for really her voice was amazing, and she had anorexia, but her voice was amazing. I've been trying not to think about Djokovic. So I guess that's what that was all about. Anyway, so good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dreams. Last Saturday night I got married. Me and my wife settled down. I think 150 million naked shorts at the same time. Couldn't they sell some? Just take. See, Joe, you're getting into Jim Croce was good. You're getting into the distinction between a margin call and a buy-in. And yes, you're right. They could bring in cash. They could link their accounts to another account, or they could sell some of it. There's a maintenance requirement, and then I think it's called a Reg T in institutional speak, but for us it was a Fed call. So if the equity in the account gets below a certain number, there's no choice. They have to buy you in. But in a retail account, you might go from 50% equity on low price stocks. It might be 40% more typically. And as that equity falls to 30%, you'll get a house call. And if you're a big broker, big swinging, and your account's big, they might say, all right, you're going to send the check? Okay, we'll give you till Friday. Because it's a house call. And there's some discretion. It's a margin call, but it's a house call. So they'll say, well, we don't want to blow up that client. We don't want to blow up that salesman. So we'll give a week. But if it, in the retail side, if it gets to 25%, that's a Fed call. They have no choice. We're buying you in. So that's what your question implies. Is there a way of selling some shares to take some pressure off? And remember, they have multiple LLCs, maybe on one of their positions. But in the broader sense, they can't buy in. They can't buy in enough shares to get rid of the problem. It is perplexing that they're still standing. So we'll find out. But yeah, it's a good question. Well, that's it, Kit. The price has to go up to find the sellers. The thing with Finger, and I know my chart ain't no there ain't no sunshine since she's gone. Oh, here it is. This chart. Look, it's come from here, 144 up. But these people buying here aren't selling. That's all my point is. They're not selling low. There's no selling here. There's no selling here. Everyone that owned the stock there got out by now. Or they're holding it for the move. So the only way to get 150 million shares, or if you want to chop that in half, 75 million. Chop that in half, 37 and a half. Chop that in half, call it 15 million. The only way to get those shares is for the price to go much, much higher. So anyway, I'm going to let you go to Avid. He's a good, something's happening to my phone. He's a good kid. He's a good guy. Remember, he's unflappable. I'm flappable. All right. So peace, love, and happiness. thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you on the flip side.